Race 6 of the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup. The road to Pyeongchang, Korea continues in Altenberg in Saxony. Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to Germany for the first race of the new year. I'm Martin Haven, alongside me John Morgan, as we prepare for the second and deciding heat here at one of the toughest tracks on the planet.
So here's our third place sled after the first run out of Kohler. She's never medaled before, just first year of sliding. She came over from Skelton and she's got herself as the top German on the leaderboard. She's got the World Championship brakeman out of Dresden. Good starts, good drive down. She's in her first medal position ever, maybe. Jamie Grubel-Poser, Asia Evans. This is the best American duo in the race. Jamie Grubel, who's medaled on this track before. Decent lines down, and she is in a silver medal position. The Germans a 10th behind her, but they're all chasing the veteran, Kaylee Humphries, with the rookie on the brakes, Vasila George, and this track and field athlete in the back's giving Humphries some good starts. And Humphries, who's been driving this track for 11 years, perfect lines all the way down, and she blew their track record away at the bottom. She blew her own track record away at the bottom, and she's the lady who everybody else is chasing.
Yeah, she leads by 4400s because Jamie Grubel-Poser was also inside the old track record, as was Anna Kola and Mariama Yamanka, the top four. But the battle for the bronze medal, covered by 1600 of the second, third to sixth position. Kaylee Humphries, though, in her 12th season of bobsleigh driving, is a step ahead of everybody else. There were some close calls on the runs down the track. Maria Oshigiri crashed, so did Germany's Stephanie Schneider, who's won the last two straight races in the World Cup. Schneider will not go again, and I'm not entirely sure that Maria Oshigiri will. There's Alicia Rissling of Canada, and you can see that it's balmy 7 degrees, ice temperature hovering around 0. The ice here is always impeccably prepared, but that hasn't helped Alana Myers-Taylor, who you saw there, who crashed twice on the final day of training and nearly went over again on her first race run. Well, warming up is Monty, Britain's spare brakewoman, so I'm not sure whether Misha Moore is going to be fit to go. But everybody warming up in the car park. And John, we were saying, leaving the hotel this morning, we actually saw what the hotel parking lot looked like. Normally it's under about 1.5 feet of snow and ice. It looks like it's March or April here now. This is the first week of January. Maria Oshigiri is on the start list of 20 sleds to go in our second heat, so we'll wait to see whether the Japanese comes to the line or not. She's followed by Jasmine Fenlater-Victorian of Jamaica, and then the rest of them going down in order until we get to our final sled, which will be Kaylee Humphries, the race leader and the woman who's looking for a three-peat here on this track.
Good crowd, as usual here. Track 30 years ago hosted his first competition 30 years ago in December, the Aero Cup. There was 20,000 people here. I was one of them. They love their sliding here in Altenberg.
First led in the second heat, race 6 of the Women's World Cup, is Maria Oshigiri and brakewoman Mariko Morimoto. Now, they crashed heavily. You can see Morimoto's suit got ripped up by the ice, and if she hadn't been wearing a Burns vest, she would have been ripped up just as badly. This is first time ever on this track as a driver for Maria Oshigiri.
This team finished 7th in the World Championships last year. Shocked everybody. The best Japanese finish ever in men's or women's bobsled competition. But the first run wasn't pretty, but they finished intact, which is why they're at the top of the track, and they're getting points and going to try and move up here in the standings with a clean run. She has no chance because she's a second behind, but she just wants to get to the bottom.
Well, she's 3600s behind Jasmine Fenlater-Victorian of Jamaica, and that's a big ask to try and close in that much on a more experienced driver like Jasmine. But this is a much tidier run from Oshigiri.
When you finish 7th in the World Championships in Königssee, you've got talent.
Ooh, little skiddy, but she gets away with it. Down at the bottom.
Coaches set her right back up. fall off a horse, get back on it.
And look how shiny the ice is. It's had preparation in the last half hour, a fresh spritz, and that means it will be glassy fast again. So Maria Oshigiri gets down nice and safely.
1 second and 7400ths better, and look how happy they are.
Yeah.
You know, the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. This track is the man against the mountain, or the women against the mountain, like it used to be in the sport. This is 3-4. Keep your eyes on this. Exit of 3 into 4. That take-on causes havoc like this with your lines up top where you're trying to accelerate. Then here she gets sucked up into 13, too high. This 13-14 combination, keep your eyes on that, because the exit here, you're going uphill. I call that a graveyard section, because if you lose time going uphill with a skid, it's not good in a gravity sport.
19th after the first heat, Jasmine Fenley to Victorian, and brakewoman Orja Segri on the back of the sled. So a change after the first heat. Orja is the substitute brakewoman, so she is taking the second start.
Kerry Russell.
Yeah, Kerry Russell.
But I think she got replaced in the first heat too. Kerry Russell's got one of those flues that's bugs but going. Look at the steering right there. She's steering way too much what she did in the first run.
The back of the sled is sliding all over the place. See it climb the wall there as she was trying to hold the nose down. So she's got a very wayward sled underneath her.
Jasmine finished 11th in the Olympic Games for the United States as USA 3. Her father was born in Jamaica, so she crossed over into the world of cool runnings. Didn't have a very good first run. Very surprised she was that sloppy. This is a better lines. 2200ths lead, that's not a lot.
Well, the gas come down from 37 to 22.
Down to 5. This is going to be, I got to believe she's going to have all she knows, red numbers. She's going to finish behind the Japanese who crashed in the first run, but came through intact, 57.48. Look how excited the Japanese go with all the damage. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a brakewoman, Marika Morimoto. So Jasmine Fenley to Victoria, and Orja Segri slip a spot, but down safely. And 3 years away from Altenberg. That's no mean feat.
Well, Altenberg's in their rearview mirror,
yep.
So they're very happy about it.
Well, Sandra Kyriasis gives her a big hug. Sandra knows this track so well, of course. But all you can do is impart the information to your driver. You can't drive it for them. But the sled was slithering all over the place under Jasmine, and that just slows you down.
Yeah, especially up top. I'm really surprised she was that sloppy and drove around that second curve there. Kyriasis, her coach, who won the World Championships here in 2008 and won about 7 World Championships in her career.
Third starter here in Altenberg, Germany, Martina Fonteneve with Muswama Kambunji, her brakewoman. Started 21st in the field, drove herself into 18th place. But they had a 15th fastest getaway in the first run, so she could improve on her performance.
Yeah, the brakeman got in with one arm behind the other. You want to get in with the cohesion, get both arms over at the same time. It's a technique.
Her brakewoman has started 1 race before in her life, so this is her World Cup debut.
What's this? Still tap, 3 to 4. This labyrinth, 3-quarter combination, 6, 7, 8. Now watch the straightaway. Look at the runner tips her on the exit. Late. And she doesn't correct. Lets the wall straighten her out. 1-4. Keep your eyes on the speed. At 114.2 on the entrance in.
Very low line through the Kreisel.
114.2 on the way out. You want to have better speed on the way out than you do the way in.
I have to say, after the first couple of corners, I think she's focusing on just getting it down in one piece, and she's very late as she comes around in front of our window. But she hangs it together, and she's down and in one piece. And in the end,
Japanese?
Yeah, the Japanese move up. For the Swiss, the result is getting down without getting hurt. I think that was her prime focus. First couple of corners, the sled was very wayward.
Japanese crash in the first heat, come through the finish line intact, and now they've moved up 2 spots. I'm sure their coach, Hans Wimmer, said, we're going back up to the top and we're coming down. Little did they know they would finish ahead of 2 other sleds.
Yeah. Martina not happy with her drive at all. Let's look, well, here's the Kreisel.
This is low. She's really steering hard. The sled should be going up and down a little bit. She held it down. When you hold it down like that, well, you steer too much. When you steer too much, you cause friction, you lessen your speed. And then down here, Sideways in the uphill section is not the way to do it on this track. That's where you get rewarded with good lines.
Big wide eyes there as well. Yeah. She's doing over 100 miles an hour. The sled's breaking into a slide. Japan leads. Japan next at the line. This is Konomiya Sazu, who was the first of our 21 starters in the opening heat here in Altenberg, Germany.
I was wrong. The first Japanese sled I said finished 7th at the World Championships. It's this sled here, Azua. These two really conservative at the start. Brakeman is coming off a hamstring injury. The first time we've seen her since the opening event in Lake Placid.
5:98, so that's a tenth slower than their teammates. In fact, the 3 sleds that have gone so far have all started 5:88.
This is the more experienced of the 2 drivers for the Japanese, and that's a pretty good 3 to 4 combination. And she's being rewarded with these lines with a half-second lead.
And this is Konomi's 10th World Cup start.
Look at these lines. These are great. Speed in. Watch the speed into the Kreisel's one thing. Speed out's the other.
She was 4,800 ahead of teammate Oshigiri from the first heat.
Down to 50.
That's coming down.
How good was the first Japanese sled?
Oh, Oshigiri had the speed until she crashed. And it should be close, but Asazu at the line in front, surely. Yes, she is by 2,300s. 57.4, however, a teammate came down 56.9.
Boy, is he happy his Japanese athletes are seeing this Altenberg in the rearview mirror here.
Her teammate Oshigiri came down 4,500s quicker on that run. If she hadn't crashed in the first heat, but then ifs, buts and maybes, if she hadn't crashed, Stephanie Schneider might be in the medals.
Very impressed with the advancement of the Japanese program. These girls came out of nowhere last year to finish 7th at the World Championships. And of course, it's the Asian Olympics in Korea that are putting the pressure on the Japanese to produce. These are great lines in that graveyard section. Some of the best we've seen.
And the girls
she's happy.
Always have a smile on their face, don't they? Whatever time of day it is, they're always grinning. You know, we always say we're doing this for the love because there ain't no money.
They're happy they're at the bottom.
Japan, 1-2. 16 sleds to go here in Altenberg, Germany. Next up is Maria Konstantin, the only Romanian here this weekend. Teammate Andrew Greco is racing in European Cup action in Samarit.
She was here earlier in the week.
Yeah,
she was here earlier in the week. She crashed out. And she's an inexperienced driver. Well, this one here is very experienced. Gives up time at the start, 4th best start, but she's got a 1/4 second in the bank. With her experience, good piece of equipment, she should be the leader at the bottom. But she's got to deal with this treacherous Altenberg track. Right here, start. Touch. Innsbruck and Winterberg, the last 2 events, it's all about start times. Here, it's about good start, but drives lines down the track like this right here.
Yeah, that was a good line.
115 kilometers. See if she comes out of 115.2. 115.5. See, she accelerated out of that Kreisel, which is optimum lines.
And that's not fighting the sled, allowing it to rise and fall with gravity.
The speed down here in the bottom is not as good as the Swiss. Oh, it is better than the Swiss. Yeah, top speed.
All right, 3,200's the advantage. She pushes the Japanese back into second place.
Diego is happy. He wasn't happy with his pilot in the first run. 4,500's better.
Well, she wasn't happy. She nearly crashed about 4 different places.
A lot of people are going to be happy here at the bottom just because they're at the bottom, not where they're placing, just to say, whoa.
Well, nobody takes this place lightly. Whether you're Kaylee Humphries, who rates it as one of her favorite tracks, nobody takes it lightly.
So this is, she's going to go up and down here. Remember, we saw the other sled hold the line all the way around, which decreases the speed. She lets the sled run, hits that pressure point, and then comes off a little late, but boy, slingshotted into the 12, 13, 14 combination, pretty good.
Looking for that orange flag, Tudai's flag at the end of the Kreisel. Next time you see the slow-mo, look for it hanging off the roof. Maria Konstantin of Romania, the race leader, 5 down, 15 to go. Katjenbeil of Austria with Vicky Hahn, her brakewoman, a multiple record holder in Austrian weightlifting circles. Beil, a couple of crashes in the training week, but a good clean run in the first heat.
She's also dealing with the flu, like a lot of the athletes. This young lady here won 4 of the 5 Europa Cup races in Europe before Christmas. Then we saw her in Winterberg at the first event in Europe. She finished 5th, her personal best ever, and caught everybody's attention.
Little rocky at the first few corners on the track. 3200s up on Maria Constantin of Romania. She was 2/10 clear in the first run.
Good lines. Now the speed, 115. Does not have the speed the Romanian sled had. Romanian sled had better speed on the way in. Let's see if she can get to 115 on the way out here. 115.1. She improved a little bit. Still down.
Little skinny.
13-14. You don't want to go into the wrong side of that 13. You can roll into that curve.
Still 3/10 clear, so Katchenbile in the final corner, and she will take the lead away from Maria Constantin. Ducks ahead under the line.
Started off 2400s, finished 23. And Manfred Baer on the right. She's got one more Austrian slider coming up, but this is a pretty good performance from this young Austrian pilot here.
Yeah. We talk about the Japanese always smiling. These two are always grinning their heads off as well. Nobody's in this sport for money or for glory.
Well, there's a lot of thrill-seeking going on.
It's an addiction.
Yeah.
How do you explain you've been in here, you know, 50-plus years?
Look at this 11-12 combination, and then she drifts to the right side of our screen. Now she's got to go into that next curve, and that you could roll in. See, the sled was airborne there. That sled could roll in opposite way.
So Katchenbile there, our race leader for Austria. Top of the track is girl who finished in 4th place in last year's race in Altenberg. Anne van Nieuwenhuizen of Belgium did not have a run that she was happy with in the first heat. Just about everything that could have gone wrong did. She made almost every mistake going. Kept it on its runners, though, which at least is a small blessing.
Didn't have a very good start and not a very good drive down the track for the probably the smallest twosome in the field.
Yeah, it's between them and the Brits, isn't it? Misha and Mika.
Misha, yeah, the two Mishas might be equal to this, but look at her eyes. Favorite movie, Frozen. I love that.
Okay, this is much tidier start to the run than in the first heat. She was all over the place in the first run.
Tap there in the second part of the labyrinth. Now watch the exit of 9. Look at the runner tips. Late.
She had 800s over the Austrian Katchenbile from the first heat. Look at that, 2800s now nearly.
115.2, so optimum line. She should come out 115.3. Speed, 116,
fastest.
Fastest speed.
Now, if she keeps it clean, she'll add another 10th to her lead.
She corrected. That's really high there, so she's going to throw away some time here in the bottom.
She's getting in here much quicker than in training.
Look at that. She held on. That was loose.
Yeah, it was.
But I mean, you know,
having tidied up the top, she got so much more speed out of the Kreisel. It was all coming at her in a bit of a rush.
You know, like in NASCAR, they call that Darlington track, the track too tough to tame. And this track is a lot like Darlington.
Yes, it is.
There's a lot of challenges for the athletes here.
Yeah.
And there's no perfect line.
Well, she looks a lot happier with that than she did with her first heat. But when you have to count them both...
Look at that airborne runner, 13-14. And then she's late, and look at... You just don't see pictures like this on most other tracks. And then she's late into this curve, and she panics, steers off, crosses the wall.
If she hadn't steered, she'd have landed on her head. She had to haul it off. 7 sleds down, 13 to go in Altenberg. Next up is Nadezhda Sergeva of Russia with Yulia Belemenstik, her brakewoman, behind a Victoria Tokovaya, the coach. Victoria, driver who had a fair share of good results on this Altenberg track. Oh, Sergeva taking a long time to get in, but it is a really long run down to corner 1, Benish curve.
Yeah, this is as you say, it's like a marathon compared to the sprints in Winterberg and Innsbruck. You have to run harder down the hill. Some of the athletes complain that they're sore from running too far.
Yeah.
They're not used to that trek. So David did not have a very good first run, and she's in a race against her Russian teammate coming up.
She's been behind her teammate in every race but one. She was 5th in Whistler, whereas Alexandra Rodionova was only 11th. And so that's sort of kept in touch. But Sergeva must finish in front of her teammate if she wants to guarantee herself a chance to go to the games.
Time back to the Belgian sled here.
This is going to be tight at the line, could be down to single digits, and it's not. She finds it in the final corner.
See, the track rewards you with good lines on the bottom. Of course, the Belgian sled had the big problems at 15.
Sliding all over the place.
The Russian sled did not, so it got back to single digits, down to 16, and then she accelerated away another 800s, 1000s she tacked on at the bottom part of the track.
And those Valna sleds are always quick when the numbers are high in speed. So a clean line from her, but is it enough to overhaul her teammate? And that's her only focus, really.
3 to 4, omega curve into 4, that take on, you tap, and then what's to the back end, and then you got to go in there with that nose-heavy pressure, and you have to steer, more steering, more friction, slowing yourself down.
It's one of the least worst lines we've seen there, and Sergeva is our leader. 12 sleds to go, and Alana Myers-Taylor, last year's silver medalist on this track, is next up with Brianna Jones behind her. Brianna making her second World Cup start.
Not too many times you see her in 11th place into the first run. Crashed in training, both runs, the final day of training, and almost crashed in the in this heat.
Yeah, in fact,
this race.
Brianna's 4th start.
But to their credit, they set the track record at the start. They broke their own start record with a 54 in the first run. 57.
These two won in St. Moritz last year. We go to St. Moritz next weekend.
This is much better at the top of the track. Alana was all over the place.
Yeah.
Ooh, watch out here. She dodged too much steering, though. Yeah. She comes through there that clean. She steered too hard.
Well, don't forget, first couple of days of training were good. She crashed in both runs on the final day of training, and so that probably is foremost in her mind now.
Speed 115.1, similar to the Belgian sled. See if she increases the speed on the outlet. This is where she crashed. Watch out here. She's laid into that curve.
Get it down safe. Don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt your brake woman.
She had real problems in this section of the track right here, but she's cleaner. Oh, she's behind.
All right, whatever.
She's going to get to the bottom. But this has been a rough week for Alana Myers, the world champion from last year. 4th best time of the run. Not too many times that Sergeva has beaten, if that might be the first ever, she's beaten Alana Myers-Taylor.
And Alana, the key thing here was to leave Altenberg with no injuries. You know, in a month's time, they'll be touching down in Pyeongchang. They can't be crashing here in Altenberg.
Crashed twice. I think she's going to be, I think the U.S. coaches are very relieved that that's just behind her. This exit here, look at the skid. Now, she's crashed there yesterday, or 2 days ago, 2 consecutive trips. Then 11, 12. This is such a severe combination of curves that doesn't matter who you are, the best or the worst. The track is a challenge.
Russia lead, Russia next at the line, and this is the battle of the teammates. Nadezhda Sergeva leads, Alexandra Rodionova ready to go, must try and beat her to keep her position as the better of the Russian duo. Anastasia Kotsetsova behind her helped her to a slightly slower start than Sergeva.
Drivers from Brox, which Zubkov is from, a lot of the Russian pilots, athletes, even in the luge program, come from there.
Anastasia came from the Russian luge program, so we know she's got a good feel for the ice.
Too much steering there. She drove around that curve and she's in a drift.
Wow, look at the steely stare of the ice. All right, so this is Sergeva now holding her breath at the bottom because Rodionova is already in red numbers. And it's a little loose at the top.
The track will reward you with good lines. Some tracks, you drive perfectly, you can't get any time back.
Gaps out to a 10th.
She needs 116 speed here, but the Russians don't have any speed on their sleds.
Sergeva is 16 points behind her teammate. She might need to finich 2 places in front of Rodionova. Here she comes. Now, tie doesn't help Sergeva, but it does help Rodionova. 900's back. Okay, Sergeva needs another spot to move up.
That puts her still ahead of Alana Myers.
Yeah.
So 2 Russian sleds here in the lead.
So 10 down, 10 to go. Russia 1-2, USA in 3rd. So silver medalist and 4th place finisher from last year, are currently 3rd and 4th with 10 to go.
Well, this is the lines on the exit of Kreisel. You want a slingshot effect and not hitting the wall. And then 13, 14, uphill section, not too bad. It was not clean, though. Clean line there, she might have got that 800s back.
Yeah, any of those, all of those added up to a tiny deficit. Nadezhda Sergeyeva of Russia from Alexandra Rodionova, her compatriot and teammate. That's the 1-2. 10 down, 10 to go here in Altenberg. So for Sergeyeva, 1 spot ahead, currently 11th ahead of 12th. Don't know if that's 16 points or not. I don't have my calculator, but Sergeyeva there on the right in the lead. And her brakewoman, Yulia Belemensk, alongside her. There's the bridge over the in-run at the finish. And there's the rise. You can see those little cabins on the left of your shot. That's where our commentary positions are. But you can see what a steep rise it is through the final corner and up to the finish line.
American girls pack it up.
Yeah. And they may well be hitting the road this evening. It's about a 10-hour drive to St. Moritz. So they may go halfway, close to Munich maybe, and then complete the final leg tomorrow. You can see this is what goes on behind the scenes. The current leaders in front of the camera, everybody else packing up, getting ready to go home, or queuing up to take their time to get onto the ice. There's Katrin Beil. She looked relatively happy with her run. A decent crowd here as well, not just down in the finish area. They were jammed the start area at the beginning of the first heat, or through the first heat, and then come down to the finish to see it all. And of course, all the way down the track as well. You can see they just tail off up the hill. And every viewing point. One of the great things about a bobsleigh track, John, is right beside you, almost within arm's reach, the sleds are coming thundering past. And we were talking to a few first-time guests last night at dinner, and they had no idea just quite how exciting it is to get up close to these things.
Very educated, sliding crowd here in Altenberg. They know their bobsled, luge, and skeleton sports.
Plenty of young fans as well, being indoctrinated by their parents at this Altenberg track. Race 6 of the BMW IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup. Same to you, young man, as we have 10 sleds down and 10 to go. First of our top 10 is Christine de Bruyn with Cynthia Appiah back off the bench and on the back of a sled again.
This is a run maybe for her Olympic Games position. The top 2 countries will qualify in points, will qualify 3 sleds. The USA was ahead of Canada in a close battle. Brittany Reinbold, USA 3, but Brittany crashed 4 consecutive trips in training. She's not competing, so there's going to be a lot of pressure between this Canadian sled here and Brittany Reinbold next week in St. Moritz to see who's going to get to walk in the Olympic parade.
Yeah, and the way it works is the position of the 3rd sled decides which nation gets to go. At the moment, coming into this race, Reinbold was narrowly ahead of de Bruyn, but as you say, will score a 0 here.
Watch out here, she's not, she gets out there, skidding.
And again, a little like Alana Myers-Taylor. Crucial that she gets down. She just got knocked away by the wall, but hung on to it.
She's still not down.
It's still not down.
Late there. This Altenberg track, just as they describe it, is there you have to steer every place.
It's like tripwires all over the track. Well, she slips 4 spots down into 5th. Doesn't help Sergeyeva. She could have done with her being in front of Rodionova. But those couple of wild moments.
Yeah, she would have a top 10 finish. That's points. She drops about 30 points there with that run. That'll all add up.
Yep.
That'll all add up next weekend.
It will all be decided in St. Moritz.
Wasn't her best.
No, she walks away with that in her rearview mirror.
Okay, now this is the exit out of Kreisel. This is where the trouble started. Now watch her come over here in the next picture and tap the right-hand wall, the left-hand wall. Oh, that is... She was so close to rolling it into the curve.
Yeah.
And then here she's into trouble again in the uphill section, going into the curve in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Well, Christine de Bruyn gets down safely. Sabine Hafner at the start with Rahel Rabsamen for Switzerland. Rahel's twin sister Evelyn is one of those shouting them off at the top.
Rahel's a 400-meter hurdler. The girl in the front is very familiar with this track. She slid here from 2006 to 10. Then she took 4 or 5 years off. Yeah. Went back to electrical engineering school and got her degree. And she still had a passion for the sport. Here she is. She is a competent driver.
Yes, she is.
Gives up time at the start, but good lines here. She'll be rewarded on the bottom.
Sure, she's looking forward to going back to St. Moritz next weekend, as are all of the drivers, I'm sure.
1:14.8 speed on the way in. That's 70 miles an hour. On the way back, 1:15.3, so she increased her speed by almost a full mile an hour.
She was skidding all the way down the straight into the Kreisel, though. So the gap is still slender.
It's going to be close.
Now, if she drops behind Sergeva but in front of Rodionova, that will have a very big effect, but she's in front.
Hung in there, yeah. So there's the twin sister.
Yeah, Evelyn. A little bit of a smile from Wolfgang Stampfer as well. Yeah, he got it down. There was a couple of big broadside moments where the front bunk was touching one wall and the back bunk the other one.
So she's happy there.
Look at her laughing.
I think she's just happy to finish.
Laughing with relief. It's like a roller coaster, you know, you get off and you're just happy it didn't hurt you.
Her issues were all over the place, and here's 3 to 4. This wasn't pretty. If that's a hard hit, which means the sled's going to go airborne, it's going to go heavy in the nose, steering, and then here, surprised she made this mistake. She's an experienced driver, and she got into probably the worst lines between 9 and the Kreisel of anybody.
Well, there she is, double junior world champion, 2009, 2010. 8 to go, and our second Canadian sled, Alicia Rissling, with double Olympic champion brakewoman Heather Moyse behind her. And when Heather came back to racing this year, she said the challenge wasn't to go for a three-peat, but to try and help another athlete get to the games.
I think it's safe to say that Alicia did not have a clean run.
Didn't have a clean start there either. That one of them slipped. It was not a good hit. Heather Moyse is in slow motion as ever, 5:83. Well, they started 77 in the first heat. Definitely wasn't the better of the starts. Alicia, though, is having a very strong season. 6th in the overall rankings with 4 7th-place finishes.
She tried a late line and didn't. That was a hard hit. I'm sure they'll probably show that to us. 300s, it's in the red now. Yeah. That hit out of 3-4 cost her all the time. Now, she could still get it back here with the lines. 1:14.3. She needs to come out at about 1:15.6 or 7 to catch her on the bottom. 1:14.8, that's not good speed. And she's got another skid going.
The gap's coming down, so she's slipping behind Sabine Hafner.
She's lost more time.
In fact, at the moment, she's in 4th position on the splits, behind both the Russians as well. Not a good second heat.
9th best time. That's all relative to curve 3 and 4. No, that's where she's tried to hang it on the exit and cross over and caused more damage or caused a bigger hit. And that's where you lose all your speed. Look at her. Heather Moyse, don't worry about it. You know, she's going to get into the Olympic Games. She finished 3rd in Pyeongchang, the pre-Olympic test last year. So, you know, but this is not Pyeongchang. This is a different persona.
Yeah, a long way from Kansas here, Dorothy. Yeah.
Well,
look at the start. Yeah. Just no synchronization. Heather wasn't there with her at all.
Look at the coaches.
Yeah, Lyndon going,
now
oh my.
Watch this crush. Bang, that's as hard a hit. She's as late on that curve. Look what it does here. Pushes the nose down.
Well, watch her head as well. She got really rattled around there.
That's where she lost all her time.
All right, well, down and safe. No damage done.
9th best time, though.
Great Britain's Misha McNeil and Mika Moore, the reigning junior world champions in women's bobsleigh. 7th place after the first heat, a 10th out of the top 6. Struggling with flu.
Yeah, this is one of the better drives down the track. These lines that she had were almost as good as Gailey Humphries.
Now,
they just don't have a start time.
I'm not sure that's Mika Moore on the back.
I don't think it is. I saw a ponytail.
I'm not sure. We'll wait to see who takes the helmet off at the bottom, but at the moment, Misha very wild at the top of the track. Got to get this tidied up. She needs to hang on to this position.
100, but she was, you know, she doesn't have a very good start. 89 start.
Down to 4th on the split. She's currently 10th in the overall rankings, ahead of the 2 Russians.
115.1, okay? So 115.5 will give her a chance to get into the green numbers.
Now in the first heat, she started 10th fastest.
Best speed.
Yeah.
So there's driving.
Oh, she's gone. Oh my word. And that was a long way up.
That's the same issue that we saw De Bruyne have from Canada.
Yeah.
De Bruyne got away with it.
Well, they'll cross the line, but they will be last, so they will only score points for 20th place unless somebody else crashes and goes slower.
She had a great run going. That speed, acceleration, into the Kreisel, out of the Kreisel. She was on point, and now the sled comes back. I still understand why they can't catch those sleds. Stop. Now it's going to come back again. At least they're both in the sled, intact. As you said, suffering from the flu, like, I would say 20% of the athletes are sick. And there was a virus going around.
She's got a head flu. Some of the congestion. British guys have got gastric flu of some kind, which has just gone through them like a steam train. So, she was not feeling at all chipper yesterday evening.
She had a great first run. She was right there in the mix in the first run.
Yeah, from a 10th fastest start, she drove herself into 5th place, got eased out to 6th.
4th, she won to 5th and then ended up 7th. But that she would have maintained her placing there, top 7 at least.
Yeah.
This is when the doctors really have to calm the athletes down.
Yeah. Well, they took a big hit early on in the run. They've gone all the way down, up past the finish line, and then slid all the way back down backwards again.
She drove as good a line as Kelly Humphries. The only difference was Kelly Humphries beat her by 2400ths at the start in the first run. Here in the second run, she was coming on. Great lines out of Kreisel.
We can hear Misha saying, just take my helmet off. No, that's not Misha. Misha's still in the sled.
Is that Mika Moore, though?
Waiting to see.
I think it is.
Yeah, yes it is.
Yes, it is.
We saw Monty warming up earlier, but because both the girls looked pretty ginger when they got out of the sled, I don't think either of them were feeling entirely great. But, you know, they'll be feeling a little more second-hand after this.
It's not the first time these two have been over this year either. Look at, she's a little woozy.
Yeah. Well, the adrenaline is still pumping hard, and so they're going, okay, no, I'm okay, I'm okay. The doctor has seen it all before.
A lot of concussion protocol.
Yeah.
Look at, I mean, we've seen worse lines than that. That's the same thing Christina De Bruyne. Remember I said you could roll into the curve?
And
she did that tap, and the back end came up in the air. Oh, there's that rolling into 13. Upside down. This is 70+ miles an hour.
78, 79 miles an hour down the hill here.
Almost came back up there.
And you can see that Misha Moore in the back is hanging out of the sled, but she's clinging on so she doesn't get spat out for 2 reasons. First, because actually you're safer if you're at least slightly protected by the sled.
Especially these two, they're so small.
And secondly, because she knows, I mean, every brakeman knows, don't let go of the sled, because then you still get points if you cross the line. Another track hold here in Altenberg after a crash for Great Britain's junior world champions, Misha McNeil and Mika Moore.
Just remember one thing. Stephanie Schneider from Germany won the Winterberg and Innsbruck, the last 2 World Cup events. She crashed out in the first heat. Alana Myers, last year's world champion and all the accolades she has, She has had a terrible week here, crashing twice in training in the last day and barely getting down in the first run. And back in 10th or 12th place, her teammate Brittany Reinbold crashed 4 consecutive runs, and then they pulled her out of the competition. So, I mean, this track is a challenge.
Yes, it is.
Now, in the men's field, nobody crashed in training all week long. I hope I don't jinx the field.
I was just going to say, you actually said that out loud on air? What?
And, you know, we saw Stephen Holcomb here right before the Olympics in 2014, or 2009, to 10 Olympics. December of 2009, Steve Holcomb crashed in 14. Very similar to that, what we just saw. And everybody. Nico Walter, one of the favorites, one of the local boys.
He crashed in training.
Second time ever in his life, crashed earlier in the week.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's it. Yes, exactly. His second ever bobsled
crash.
There's our leaders. What's that, Mighty Mouse? Very good. All right, is she coining herself a new nickname then? The Firecracker. Yeah.
But this is not where they don't want to be hanging out down here with a crash like that.
And they don't mind being in leader's box, but nobody wants to see any of their rivals crash. And in fact, it was a very illuminating interview that track speaker Ron Ringuth had done with Kaylee Humphries that they played out in the break between the heats, and she was talking exactly about that. You know, everybody knows that there is a potential for disaster. Getting ready to go at the top of the track in 6th position. Elfje Willemsen finished in 4th place in last year's race here. And Elfje, in fact, she finished in 6th place in last year's race. Teammate Anne van Nieuwenhuizen was 4th. Elfje took the silver medal 2 seasons ago and the year before that. So she knows how to get down this track.
She knows how to get down all the tracks. Except she had some issues in Whistler this year. Very surprising late in her career.
Well, she said this is absolutely her standout favourite track. Everybody loves St. Moritz because of the location and the history. This is her favourite. Clock is running for Elfje Willemsen and Sarah Ertz. Top 6 to go here in Altenberg. Martin Haven and John Morgan trackside watching the action.
Well, this is the queen of speed because she gives up all sorts of time at the start. 5:86 there compared to her first run of 5:82. Makes a very un-Elfie type mistake out of curve 1. And taps there too. Had a long wait between the crash and her descent down the track, and 2/10 in the lead, but she went from the 12th best start to the 6th best time in the first run.
1900ths of that lead is from the first heat. So now she's starting to ease away from Sabina Hafner. Yeah.
Anybody, 1/5, she could come out here 1:16 and change. No, same speed she had going in as she has coming out. Ooh, the sled was a little airborne there. Boy, she's 4/10. Now she's flying on point.
Right now, she was, what was the gap between her and the top 3? It was about 1600ths of a second. So she moves into the leader's box with 5 to go.
She's 56.91 in the first run, 56.92 in the second one. She's through and down with a top 6 finish. That might be her best finish of the year.
You saw the Swiss girls there hanging their hands out to high five as the girls that beat them came through to the line. Elfje Willemsen, top 6 guaranteed again, as she did here last year. But can she get into the medals as she'd done on the 2 previous occasions?
Well, flops it out of there, so she didn't have the great exit speed like she did on the way in, but this is her best finish of the season. Look at the airborne runner. We knew that. She could have rolled that into 14.
But this will be her best finish since Koenigsee, where she was 6th last year, and Altenberg, where she was 6th last year. Elfje Willemsen leads, 5 to go. Austria's Christina Hengster has taken the bronze medal in Altenberg on the last 2 World Cup outings. She lies in 5th position, but the bronze medal is just 900ths away from her.
She's had a very un-Olympic type season for this very experienced driver. She crashed in Lake Placid when she was in the top 5. And then she's had 10ths and 8ths, and her best finish of the season is 8th, and she finished 15th in her home track in Innsbruck, which was very disappointing for her.
A decent start with her brakewoman, Jennifer Onesanya. Sanadeka no longer being used by the Austrians. This is a good-looking run, though, from Christina Hengster. She's been a bronze medalist the last 2 times out here. She should have a good-looking run.
15.6 on the way in, 16.6 on the way out. That's the way to do it.
Lands it beautifully off the Kreisel, a flying run. This is a challenge for the medals, no doubt, from Christina Hengster. 1800's her advantage over Elfia Willemsen.
This is a good run. She's going to be very happy with her best finish of the season. And Manfred Mayer, they get something to smile about in Austria.
That run would have left her 4th in the first heat.
I bet you she yells it up here a little bit.
Yeah.
You think
again, you know, they're laughing with relief just to get down. Yeah. But that must have felt good in the back seat. Really a smooth run.
That was a great run all the way down the track. This is 13-14. Look how smooth that transition was. Then into this uphill section. A little late coming out there, but pretty straight. A little skid, but not bad. Considering the rest of the sleds that have come down, that was excellent.
There's Elfie Willemsen offering her congratulations. 4 to go. Now we get serious about the medals with Mariama Yamanka of Germany and Ann-Kristen Strack behind her. 2 German sleds in the field, and they are racked up in the top 4.
Strack, another hurdler. One of the least experienced brakemen in the German camp. The 3 German drivers average about 23, 24 years old in age. 74. That start is 200 slower than the first. This is, I would say, the best of the 3 German drivers, and she did not have a good first run. Let's see if she can get out of 3 without a big hit. It was a big hit.
Yep, it's early. 1500's up, though, on Christina Hengster.
1:15.6 was the speed for Hengster, which is 72 miles an hour. 1:15.2, lesser speed, it's down to 500s. Hengster had 116 speed on the exit. 116 flat here.
She's behind and not as quick.
But it's good. She can be rewarded here. Good lines here. That's perfect. But she's 500s back. I don't know.
It's going to be very close. The FES sled aerodynamics versus the BTC sled aero. No. And she goes back. So Hengster leads with 3 to go. Can Christina Hengster snatch a medal from both German sleds?
I don't think that was bad. That bad of a run for Yamanka. I think it was Hengster was speed merchant.
Well, the difference between them is that Hengster went, her second heat was the same as Yamanka's. Yamanka was 600 slower on the second heat than Hengster was in the first. So there's not much to choose between them. 600ths of a second between 2 sleds over 4 runs.
This is the hard hit out of 3. And look at the back end. Look at that. See that? You see that spray come up and then the extra steering there?
And that's why she had not enough speed going into the Kreisel.
Not happy.
Okay, so the final German shot is with Anna Kohler, 3rd after the first heat, with Annie Dracek behind her. And they put Dracek in to give her a rocket sledge start here.
And Kohler came from the sport of skeleton, came into the women's bobsled program a couple years ago and has accelerated. She's the best German on the ice at the moment.
They got enough good skeleton athletes.
Well, starter Dracek's that world championship brakeman who everybody just says is a phenom. Look at her technique in and down. Wow, 5.69. That's 100th worse than their first run. Kohler, she can keep this sled clean. She'll post her best finish ever. She's coming off a 5th in Wittenberg a couple weeks, before Christmas, which qualified her for the Olympics according to the German standards. Biggest heat of her life. Never won a medal.
Nice, smooth-looking run from Anakola. She's a World Cup rookie this season. This is only her 6th World Cup start.
16.3 on the way in.
And she's still in front of Hengster.
16.8, best speed of anybody.
Big slide. If she keeps it upright, she will take her first ever World Cup medal. She's 2 corners away.
I don't think she's matching Hengster's speed. It's going to be close.
She's got enough in the tank, and she will be in the medals.
First medal ever. Rennie Spies knows he's got a driver who's starting to come on.
He's got 3 young stars in his field, and German Skeleton can afford to pass her on to lose her to Bobsleigh. They went 1, 2, 3 in the women's race yesterday. See, this is the brake woman thing, isn't it? Do your job for any driver who you get in behind and try and help them get into the medals. That's why Annie Dratzik was so stoked up.
Now watch the technique by the brakeman. They say that this is the best brakeman in the world for technique and power. Watch her arms come up in continuity, in and down, and watch her bury her head back down there. She's only 21. 22 years old, and look at the lines. Look how low her eyes are, barely above the cowling. Look at her lean to get on the next curve. You wouldn't know that's her first medal ever.
Annie Dratzik on the left, Anakola on the right. Germany lead with 2 to go. Jamie Grubel-Poser, bronze medalist on this track 2 years ago. Can she take a medal here again with Asia Evans behind her, the Olympic bronze medal winning duo?
Listen to the scream here that Asia Evans does.
So here we have our battle for the lead.
In and down, great start, 66, 63 in the first run. Jamie was a little loose up here on the top, right here in the first run.
She has
cleaner.
900s in hand from the first heat over Anakola of Germany.
How hard did she hit here? Not bad. Kohler had great speed in and out of Kreisel.
That was pretty clean from Jamie Grubel-Poser, though, and the gap is out. It's 1/10 of a second. It's come down.
Way off in the speed, 1/2 kilometer down. That's about 30 miles an hour.
Kohler might move up here.
10, 16, 7. That's better speed. Jamie Grubel-Poser accelerated out of that Kreisel. And this is better lines than she had in the first run. This is going to be the leader. So Jamie Grubel put it together on the bottom part of this challenging track. Wow, 56.65. She goes 1/100th of a second better. That is a great run from Jamie Grubel-Poser. Might be her best run of the week on this track. Pressure was on. She delivered.
Yep. So Olympic bronze medalist has the lead. The reigning Olympic champion still to go, but Jamie Grubel-Poser will be at least a silver medalist here.
Well, the lines, she didn't have the speed of the German sled on the way in, 1/2 kilometer down, but matched the German speed on the way out. That's driving experience. Then down here, 13, 14, the uphill section, clean. That's why she went from 10 to 16 to 2400ths lead in the bottom part of the track.
There's Brittany Reinbold. Big smiles from Jamie Grubel-Poser. Husband Christian races with Nico Walter in the 2-man race this afternoon for Germany. And here is our double Olympic champion, Kaylee Humphries, with Felicia George making only her 2nd World Cup start as a brake woman in her rookie season.
Normally we say this is a victory lap, but not on this track.
Kaylee said before the race she just wanted to have good starts and 2 clean drives.
Second best start, 62. This will be 64 or so. Everybody's a couple hundred slower, 65. Felicia George, the 2-time Olympian from Rio and London, is on the back of this sled, and this could be Kaylee's brakeman as we go into the Olympics. Now, Kaylee Humphries looks like she's really on point.
Yeah.
A month out of the Olympic Games, 1/2 second lead. But on this track, nothing's safe. Except the fact that this girl is 11 years she's been driving this track. And the time is showing it. Clean.
Great exit from the Kreisel. She's 6/10 of a second clear. Kaylee Humphries passes yet another danger point. The lead grows.
It's like a video game. She's the only person coming down the middle of this track. That's why she's the 2-time Olympic champion.
And that's why she's a 3-time winner here in succession. That's 3 straight wins in the toughest drivers' track in Europe for Kaylee Humphries.
There's no substitute for experience. There's no substitute for speed. Kelly Humphries gets close to the Americans at the start. She can beat her. That's all she talked about first part of the year. Felicia George might be the brakeman she's going to choose here.
Win number 3 of the season. She won the opener in Lake Placid. She won on the fastest track on the planet, her home ice in Whistler. And she wins in Altenberg, another one of her favourite tracks. Because, John, this is a driver's track.
Yeah, but she came right down. There's the Ice Meister, Ralph Mendes. The guy's been the Ice Meister since the track opened in 1983. I said, how young were you then? He's 55 now, he's 22.
He doesn't look 55 either.
Well,
he doesn't feel it. Kaylee Humphries, wow.
Priscilla George.
It was 2 great starts, but her lines on the second run, absolutely, you couldn't make a video game more perfect.
Yeah, so the 12 years of driving down the track proved out is what Kelly Humphries needed. Good starts. She does, but she's done a lot of this track. She's won.
Wow. And everybody else will watch that video.
Might be her 4th victory here, I think.
That's her 3rd straight, certainly. That's an impressive run from Kaylee Humphries and Felicia George to just wipe the field out by 7/10. Christina Hengster in 4th, just out of the medals by 8/100ths. Mariama Umanka 5th, Alfie Willemsen again in 6th, and Sabina Hafner 7th place. She'll be very, very happy with that.
7 different nations in the top 8.
Yeah. Well, a big crash for Misha McNeil and Mika Moore after a couple in the first heat. And Alana Myers-Taylor just out of the top 10, last year's silver medalist. Alana Myers-Taylor in 11th place, silver medal last year. She also won the race 3 years ago. There's Felicia George on the left, double summer Olympian. And I think there's very little doubt she will go to the Games for Canada. They are likely to send 3 sleds. They'll need at least 3 brakewomen plus a spare. Now, whether she gets to race on a sled in the Games or not remains to be seen. But she'll be doing her level best to claim an Olympic winter medal. And if she gets the golden ticket in Canada, which is to ride with Kaylee Humphries, she might do. There's Kathleen Martini, who won this race twice in a row in 11-12 and 12-13. She's from Saxony, the local region here.
Nothing to be damning about. There's Alfie Willemsen, good result, best finish of the year for her.
Yeah.
Looks like the doping people are standing behind her.
Yeah, Sarah Ertz there. Yeah, good result for Alfie Willemsen. Well, that might be the first run. I don't think she hauled it off anywhere and hit bam on the second run.
Kathleen, Felicia, Kathleen.
There you go.
There's a very formidable driver right there, that Kathleen Martini.
Wasn't she
didn't
though?
have the start times. How about these 2 young girls?
Well, you know, that golden period with Kathleen Martini, Sandra Kyriasis, and before them with, you know, German women's bobsleigh being so powerful. Susie Erdmann and then Anja Schneider-Heinze. They've got 3 young drivers now in their early 20s who could all be very, very successful. Always good to see Kathleen Martini around. Don't see her an awful lot at other tracks, but coming down here to Altenberg for the day, one of her favourite stomping grounds. Altenberg, Germany, round 6 of the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup. Kaylee Humphries claims win number 3 on the track, win number 3 of the season, and extends her points lead over silver medalist Jamie Grubel-Poser and Alana Myers-Taylor. And Christina De Bruyne in 8th place, ahead of Alexandra Rodionova and Nadezhda Segova. And where is Brittany Reinbold? Drops down to 15th position through not scoring here. And so the 3rd Canadian sled is now comfortably ahead of the 3rd American sled. And we'll wait to see the results of St. Moritz to see which of the 2 nations gets to take a 3rd sled to the Games. No question that this woman will be going, though. Kaylee Humphries with Felicia George behind her. She's won the last 2 outings on the track and wins again here.
Well, she gets the starts. She can compete with anybody because she's the best driver, the most experienced driver in the field. Pressure, well, she's the only female driver that came down this track straight in 2 consecutive runs. And we saw a lot of hellacious lines coming down this track.
Well, the only woman in goggles, she said, coming from ski racing, it just suited her better when she was learning, and she's never given them up. Said, like blinkers on a horse, it gives you real tunnel vision, focuses you on where you're going. So I don't want to know about what's going on around me. And she rates this track as one of the best in the business because it rewards the driver so much. And there you can see Jamie Grubel poser Asia Evans, who took the silver medal here, congratulating Anna Kola, and on the extreme right, Annika Tratzek. And there's your winners, the tall figure of Felicia George, Katie Humphries on tippy toes, and the president of the IBSF, Ivo Ferriani, here to present the flowers to our winners. So a double Olympic champion. I'm not sure you're going to get very long odds on Katie Humphries in the Olympic Games in Pyeongchang next month. Jamie Grubel poser and Asia Evans, they were the bronze medalists 4 years ago. Can they do it again? Will we see these faces on the podium in Pyeongchang? We'll have to wait and see. Katie Humphries is looking ominously strong right now with just 2 more World Cup races to go. The women head now from Altenberg to the near silence of St. deep in the Swiss Alps. We will follow them. You too can join us. And don't forget, there's still men's bobsleigh to come here in Altenberg. Night racing for the 2-man and 4-man on Sunday. But until St. Moritz, from the women, for the moment, it's Auf Wiedersehen. We'll see you then a week from now.
Race, so we definitely made some personal gains there, and I was really happy with the rest of the drive.
Felicia, how was it to sit in the bobsleigh here in Altenberg?
It was really exciting. The track is really fast today, and you know, we worked really well on the push, and I was excited about it.
So, also nochmal ganz vom Anfang, ich habe es noch gar nicht übersetzt, also sie sagt,